What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Michigan State football beats Boston College in an instant classic in Spartan Stadium on Saturday night, 42-40 in double overtime. Now, this was a game that Michigan State had to fight through some adversity. Come back, was down 21-14 at halftime. Some things just weren't going their way. Had some defensive breakdowns in the back half of the defense, and other spots as well. And Boston College played a really good game, but Michigan State, every time Boston College threw a punch, Michigan State threw a punch right back. And that kept going all the way up until the second overtime to deliver the final punch for Michigan State with the 2-point conversion to Amari Kelly to officially end the game in double overtime, move Michigan State to 2-0 on the season, get revenge from Boston College from last year. And a lot of places we're going to go with this. I mean, you have to start with Aiden Childs, Nick Marsh on offense, but then also when you go to defense, Jordan Hall as well, Marion Smith making big plays, Ryan Eckley punting the ball. I mean, just absolutely incredible, best in the country. But then also Martin Connington coming in, freshman kicker, giving his first two career field goal attempts in pressure spots in this moment, going 2 for 2. Absolutely incredible. But we're going to get into the game. But first, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. More Michigan State. We'll have more Michigan State football content on the channel, so just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. So let's just jump into this thing. I mean, we're going to look at Boston College, and got a lot of feelings about this. Obviously, last week they had the big win against, Fordham. Wasn't, obviously a big time opponent that they played week 1. But I mean, I thought Boston College came in and they played really well. I'll have some more thoughts on that, as we go through this. But I mean, their quarterback, Dylan Longerian, 34 for 45, 390 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions on the night. Running the ball, Turbo Richard, 13 for 55, 4.2 average. That was, as a team, 2.7, which I think is exactly what they were at week 1 as well. Well, now, Michigan State is, even last year with some struggles they've had, week 1 this year, good at stopping the run. So that translates here. So, does Boston College have a bad running game? No, I don't think so. I think some of it, maybe week 1, struggled getting stuff in. Week 2 faced a good run defense in Michigan State. So that's that. But receiving for Boston College, which is what we talked about coming into the game, is definitely where they made their hay, and they were attacking the Michigan State secondary all night. Lewis Bond, 11 receptions for 90 yards. And then Jeremiah Franklin, 8 catches, 84 yards, a touchdown. Turbo Richard out of the backfield catching the ball, 7 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown as well. Had some explosives out there. Had a 56-yard catch by VJ Wilkins. But they were really just overall attacking Michigan State's secondary at times, and still kind of rotating some pieces in. You have Joshua Eaton in there. You have Malik Bell in there, Malcolm Bell, should I say? I'm sorry. But then, you do still see Chance Rucker in there. I did see, true freshman Aiden West getting some run out there as well. So really rotating, those centers, Ade Willie, as well at nickel. So really just attacking that secondary, and they did have some plays on them like they did in week 1 as well. I think it's just kind of a learning process as of right now. Other spots of the defense were able to step up though. And we'll get to more of that when we talk about Michigan State. But for Boston College defense, Omar Thornton, 12 total tackles and a sack on the night with 3 tackles for loss. And then the guy we circled coming in, Davion Crouch, he had 4 tackles on the night, half a tackle for loss on the night as well. And then sacks, they were able to get to Aiden Childs 4 times on the night. But then switching it over to Michigan State, Aiden Childs. I mean, you have to start with him, the star of the night, introducing himself to the college football world for those who didn't know about him already, and for certain publications that had him listed as like the 10th to 14th something best quarterback in the Big Ten coming into the year. Even with the struggles he had last year, I don't even think you could put him that low, just given his potential. No, he has to prove some stuff, but he comes out after what happened last year, the 3 interceptions, Michigan State as a whole, 4 turnovers, but him having 3 interceptions himself, obviously throwing the last one towards the end of the game, definitely remembered that. We knew the whole team remembered that, coming into this game. But he goes out, throws 19 for 29, 231 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then you pair that up with what he did on the ground, 12 carries for 39 yards and that touchdown. at the end of, near the end of the game to set up that 2-point conversion that eventually won it there in double overtime. Just an absolutely incredible night. And, really just a continuation from week one, not putting the ball in harm's way, but then also it was escaping the pocket. I thought the offensive line played fine, obviously 4 sacks, but some of that was it's not going to be perfect because they still still trying different pieces on that offensive line. So it's not going to be perfect, but Aiden was able, when some of the pocket was collapsed or some, pressure was coming in, he was able to make some plays, get out, get around, like he's been able to do. And, what he was able to do with that, he was able to take it for himself and either make a big gain. He had a couple, long runs. He had a 19-yard run in this one on a scramble, but we also did see a lot more design runs for him. Last week and especially this week as well. That was what the play call was there in the double overtime to get him that touchdown that he had on the night running the ball. And then absolutely loved his reaction after the game too. Thought that was awesome, genuine. Been through a lot here in his, just, year and a half or so here, so far, and for having this big moment on campus after a game that, definitely stung last year. And even after the game, Nick Marsh said, talking about his performance, but he said this game last year, he felt like kind of derailed their season. And that was one that Nick Marsh, didn't play in last year. And we know what the team's feeling was, about this game and how, locked in they were on this game. I said that it's probably the second biggest home game of the year, aside from that school down the road in Michigan, later in October. Penn State's obviously on the home schedule as well. But I just think because of what happened at this game last year, coming into this game, I got to put this one as the second biggest game as opposed to, Michigan being obviously the first. But, for him to have this performance, 5 touchdown performance, and basically leading, Jonathan Smith even said, at times willing, the team to this victory. Absolutely incredible night for Aiden Giles. Definitely his best night as a Spartan. Running the ball, Mekhi Frazier, again, solid night. 17 carries, 81 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. We talked about Aiden Giles, 39 yards on the ground. Brandon Tullis, 4 carries for 29 yards as well, running hard. Receiving the ball, Nick Marsh, absolutely incredible night as well. 5 catches for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, had the long 41-yard one on that touchdown there in the second half. And, I love the quote, kind of just aside, from after the game of Nick Marsh. I'm sure you've seen circulating. But Nick Marsh basically said at halftime, like, I'm single covered. Give me the ball. Used a little more explicit of terms, but single coverage, get Nick Marsh the ball. Still don't know how he wasn't on any, watch list, Blintkoff watch list, or wasn't named as the top 10 receiver in the Big Ten or top whatever. He was left off a lot of lists in the preseason, and through 2 games, I think he's proving those lists quite wrong so far. Omari Kelly, rough first half, 2 fumbles. One of them was lost. The other one went out of bounds, wasn't recovered. So, but he even, thanked his teammates for sticking with him. And, he 4 catches for 60 yards, some big time catches too. I mean, they were good throws by Aiden, but, it was a tough, adjusted catch that he had to have on the right sideline late in the game as well. He also on Jay Coyne's touchdown there at the end of the game, that he had a big block on that one as well. That kind of helped set up Coyne to be wide open for that touchdown pass there on the right hand side. Krishawn McCray, 3 receptions, 44 yards, big one-handed catch in there. Michael Masunis, 3 for 31 with a touchdown. He was big. Jaden Savory, a true freshman, came in, had a big 16-yard catch as well. Obviously, I said the 5-yard touchdown catch from Jay Coyne as well. But looking at the defense, I mean, Jordan Hall, through 2 games, absolutely incredible. 15 total tackles in this one, 9 of them solo in this one. And he was, really directing that defense like he is at that middle linebacker position. And, he was helping get everyone in line. We see him a lot leading this defense, and he has done an incredible job for this defense through 2 weeks so far. Wayne Matthews threw in 8 tackles. Amarian Smith, 8 tackles. And he also had 2 really big plays in this game on defense. He had, other impact plays as well. But the 2 biggest plays you'll look at from Amarian Smith on the defensive side of the ball had that fumble recovery in the end zone at the beginning of the game But then obviously in double overtime after Boston College gets the touchdown, they're going for the 2-point conversion. He had the big knockout punch out on the 2-point conversion, tried to set up Michigan State to then go to tie the game and go for the 2-point conversion. So big night for Marmarion Smith there. Darius Snow, 7 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. Today Willie, 8 tackles on the night. And then I thought, he even got one of the players of the week as well for the defensive line. But Alex Van Sumeren, he only had 1 tackle on the night, but I thought he was stuffing the middle of that, defensive line. He was filling that, getting through the offensive line pretty much all night. He was chasing down the quarterback a couple times, almost got there. On the night, still 0 sacks, had 4 tackles for loss. I think the 2 biggest questions coming into this year was definitely, what does that defensive line in terms of pressure to the quarterback and actually getting to the quarterback look like? And then what does the secondary look like? Obviously, rough night for the secondary overall, but I think that's kind of twofold. I think, I see a lot of ripping of the Michigan State secondary and, oh, you're doing this. Oh, the defense sucks. The secondary sucks. They can't cover this. I'm like, can we also, maybe just look at, is Boston College maybe just a good football team? I'm not saying they're a, top 25 team that's going to, go and win their conference or compete for a college football playoff spot. No, but can we just maybe say they're a good offensive team and, a decent team overall with a really, in my opinion, a really solid coach, a guy that's coached in the NFL, has coached in college, has coached offensive coordinator at Bama, has had some really good offense throughout his career. Can we just maybe say that they're a good offensive team and solid team? Why the defense look like that? With Jordan Hall, I believe I did see a quote from him after the game, but there was definitely, and you can see watching, as you watch the game unfold, there was definitely some miscommunication in the back end of the defense. So some of that is definitely on Michigan State, blown coverages, whatnot. But, some of it too. Some of those were just some amazing plays, some really good plays by their quarterback. I thought he was getting the ball out quick. Their wide receivers making big time plays, and explosive plays. So I think some of that you have to look at that and just give Boston College credit. I think they're a pretty decent offense, and I think I would love to come back, maybe towards the end of October, beginning of November, see where this offense ranks and see how it looks. Because obviously this is 2 weeks, 66 in week 1, 40 this week. I think and I'm not saying Michigan State's going to be a top 10 defense in the country, but I think they're going to be a solid, top 25 defense in the country. And, they come out and do this, then yeah, I think we can just say that Boston College just has a decent offense. But overall, a lot of stuff to improve on the defensive side of the ball for Michigan State. Definitely, some bright spots, I think, so far. I think the middle of that defensive line, those linebackers, those have been, in my opinion, the most impressive on the defensive side of the ball. Definitely some, positive stuff that we've seen on the edges for Michigan State in terms of, kind of similar to what we've seen last year and getting close to the quarterback, but not being able, you got to be able to finish the sack. But I did at times think that Lonergan for Boston College did a good job in just extending the play. Like I thought Michigan State, they were, struggling to get to him at times, but the secondary, while they did have their struggles on the night, at times they were covering for quite a long time, but then he was just able to dance around so much back there and get the ball out, to make a play. So at some points in those, you just got to tip your cap. But that is definitely something, 2 things that I think are still to be determined, which we kind of talked about before the season. Won't really know till about a month in, but definitely some things that are still concerning is, that edge pressure, finishing at the quarterback, and then that secondary, really secondary as a whole. I could say it is still definitely a question. I know the one play or the one touchdown, should I say, that Boston College had where it was Turbo Richard out of the backfield. His touchdown that he caught there, he went out. It was just simple, looked like mesh concept with the running back coming out of the backfield to the left, and he was, Joshua Eaton, I believe it was, on that play, was just way off the line, not in position, and it was just a walk-in touchdown off the left side. So that goes to more of the communication stuff on the defense. I think they'll work some of that out. We're still 2 games in. We're still figuring this stuff out on the defensive side with a lot of new players, especially in that secondary. Essentially, the whole secondary, essentially, aside from Chance Rucker and Ade Willie coming back in that secondary, obviously not including the safeties in terms of Malik Spencer and Armarian Smith. And we still don't have Nakai Martinez. Armarian Smith, I think, has done a really good job filling in. But Nakai Martinez was definitely probably, one or two best defensive players last year. So excited for when Nakai Martinez does come back, see what that looks like with this defense. But I definitely think there's stuff to get excited about, but we have to see the progress. Have to get to the quarterback. Cannot have a game with 0 sacks. Like, not saying you need to go out there and have 7 sacks a game. You need to be able to get to the quarterback some, though. So that's definitely something to look at as we go forward. This whole game wasn't positive. It was a up and down, back and forth game. It was an incredible game to be at. I think I said in the stands, I think this was probably the second, or this was probably the most exciting home game that we've had since, the 2021 game against that school down the road, the K9 5 touchdown game. I definitely think this was the second most exciting, or the most exciting game since that game, with a close second to the Penn State game at the end of that year as well. Overall, thought Michigan State played solid. On third down, 5 for 12 overall, holding Boston College 5 for 11. Michigan State going for it, 1 for 2 on fourth down. The one that they didn't get, didn't really understand where Aiden went out, motioned out to the side, and then it was Tullis, I believe that caught the direct snap, went for it, didn't get it. I don't know. Like, they were running the ball. Mekhi Frazier having 4.8 yards per carry. Tullis, obviously only 4 carries, but averaging, 7.3 yards a carry. Or even Aiden Childs, obviously 3.3 average, but I mean, we saw him sneak it. I believe that's how they got the first down, was just a QB sneak up the middle. So that was a little bit questionable, but overall, run defense holding Boston College to 2.7 yards per carry. Definitely a positive. Overall penalties as well. Really happy with penalties so far at the beginning of this year. 6 for 60 on the year. Obviously the one fumble that was lost. 2 fumbles overall. One of them lost. Another one not recovered. Then the fumble recovered for Michigan State as well. And then time of possession, 29-48 for Michigan State, 30 minutes and 12 seconds for Boston College. So happy with the 2-0 start. Definitely a lot to work on as Michigan State moves forward here with Youngstown State next Saturday at 3:30. Then after that, it's when things start getting real and, you go on the road to USC, go on the road to Nebraska. Those are going to be very tough games. You got a bye week in there as well before you have homecoming with UCLA. Got Indiana on the road as well. Got that school down the road coming at the end of October as well. So we're definitely need to try to fix this stuff next week and get stuff kind of set. I know a lot of the talk online is about the offensive line. Getting that solid 5 that, can start building cohesion and chemistry as a whole for whole game. Not saying you're not making any subs the whole game, but I know people pointed out at times it seemed like every drive or so they were putting new people in new places. So definitely something to look at and hopefully kind of finalize next Saturday before we get into the Big Ten slate going on the road, which I think is going to be a really tough game at USC. Nebraska, I think is a solid team as well, going to be a tough place to play as well. So definitely got to figure this stuff out, figure some of the question marks out. You're not going to figure out everything, but put yourself in a good position. So this was definitely a big step in the right direction for the program as a whole. I think Jordan Hall even said it after the game, that he got a little emotional because this was games the past couple years that the Spartans just let slip. They didn't let this one slip. They kept battling. They kept fighting. Through adversity, wasn't perfect all game at all. Things weren't going their way at times, but they kept fighting back. And it's a really positive sign to build momentum. There was a lot of momentum in that stadium. That was definitely, one of the more juiced up Spartan stadiums that I've seen in quite a while. So that'll do it for this one. Michigan State 2-0. Concessions lines, very improved. Atmosphere, fireworks, everything awesome. But overall, really good night in Spartan Stadium. Michigan State 2-0 on the year. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.